We are well into the holiday season, and the Steam Deck OLED is sold out in certain regions. We'll talk about it. And Valve just released data on the most played games on deck in November. Plus, Microsoft and Sony are up to their usual evil. All of this and more today. That's right, it's news time. Alright, first up, let's talk about the most played games on the Steam Deck for the month of November. Valve just dropped these numbers on their Twitter handle for the Steam Deck. There are so many familiar entries on this list, so we're not going to go over everything, but there are a few new notable entries here. So let's have a look-see at Valve's official release of this data and see what it means for the deck. The first is Baldur's Gate 3. It's number 1 on the list. This title came out in October, and so it's no surprise that it's like the most played game on the Steam Deck. It was a huge success. Emily is addicted to it, or at least was for a long time, and so is my friend Carl. Then we have longtime list member Cyberpunk 2077. We have Diablo 4. All of these are the elder statesmen of this list. Then we have newish entry Dave the Diver. We have the indie darling Vampire Survivors, which has been on this list for as long as I can remember. Grand Theft Auto 5, of course. But then we have Coral Island. This looks like a Stardew Valley type game, and it was released November 14th, so it's pretty impressive that it's on this list at all. Rounding out the last 10, we have old favorites like Binding of Isaac, Risk of Rain Returns, Hogwarts Legacy, Skyrim, Hades, Slay the Spire, and many others. Now the question is, what is your most played game on the Steam Deck, and is it on this list or not? Shout out your favorites in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I know my favorite is actually Hydro Thunder Hurricane. I've been playing that on Xenia, the Xbox 360 emulator. You can check out my video about that up here. Alright, as of recording, Steam Deck OLED is now sold out in Japan, and that's absolutely wild. There are a lot of scenarios that could be the root cause of this. Like Komodo, which is Valve's official Asian retailer, maybe they anticipated low demand and only ordered a few OLED units, or maybe Valve only supplied Komodo with a few small units, or there's just insane demand for the Steam Deck OLED over in Asia. Either way, it's clear that the expected demand was exceeded. And speaking of demand, for most of the Steam Deck's lifespan, it's been a global top seller on Steam. And despite losing that crown for a few months late this year, with the release of the Steam Deck OLED, it has clawed back that title. The Steam Deck is now the global top selling item on Steam. And that's in spite of many of the deck's peculiar disadvantages in taking that crown. Not the least of which is the fact that they only sell in a handful of countries. Whatever the case may be, Valve has told The Verge that they've sold multiple millions of units for the Steam Deck. That could be 3 million, that could be 4 million or more. Now my question is, what do you think? How many Steam Deck units have they sold? Leave me a comment and let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And while you're down there, why not like that smash button? It's the best way to tell YouTube that you want to see more videos just like this. You can also subscribe to stay up to date with everything that we're doing here on the channel. And with that, let's get back to it. So apparently 3 Linux distros just beat Windows 11 in a series of gaming benchmarks. And this is according to Merrick Lindelin, I'm sorry, over at German tech site Computer Base. Now, I don't speak German, so this is going to be filtered through the murky water that we call Google Translate. But essentially, 5 games were tested at 1080p, and these tests were carried out on 3 Linux distributions using Proton Experimental from mid-November. The distros in question are Nobara Linux, Arch Linux, and Pop! OS. Now these 3 very popular Linux distributions faced off against Windows 11 in this. The results were interesting, with the average frame rate across all tests showing Linux edging out Windows, but when it came to frame times, Arch Linux barely bested Windows, with the other 2 distributions lagging behind. When looking at the direct head-to-head comparisons on a per-game basis, we get a clearer picture. In Cyberpunk 2077, we see Windows at number 3 in terms of average frame rate, but reaching number 2 in the 1% lows. A similar pattern holds true for the other titles on this list, except for Sony's Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, where Windows bested the competition. And funnily enough, with Microsoft's own Starfield, Windows came in dead last in terms of average frame rate and 1% lows. So what does this mean? Well, it means that Proton is maturing and it's doing so at an impressive rate. While many Linux enthusiasts have known since time immemorial that Linux has been the superior choice of operating system, it's really nice to see that belief validated by cold hard numbers and the march of progress. Next up, if you've got a PlayStation 5, you can now stream in full HDR to your Steam Deck thanks to this update from the Chiaki fork, Chiaki for Deck. Creator StreetP has made a new Flatpak repository where you can download and test this out to see it work on your handheld. Now, I'm unsure if HDR output is supported on PlayStation 4 right now. I don't know if that's even technically possible, but hopefully it is possible on the PlayStation side, and it will be enabled soon in Chiaki for Deck if it's not already. The process to get this set up is fairly straightforward, though it does appear to have a few limitations. The first being that some TVs require the TV to actually be on and set to the correct HDMI channel in order for the PlayStation to detect HDR output capabilities. Now, there are workarounds for this, but it is something to consider. The other thing to note is that currently the Steam Deck OLED is the only model that supports HDR on its built-in display, of course, and currently on any model, HDR only works in game mode. That is to say, desktop mode doesn't support it yet at all. Anyway, Chiaki has always been a great option for folks who have a PlayStation and who want to stream to their decks. It's pretty neat in my book. And speaking of PlayStation, let's get to the controversy. So, have you heard about this? That PlayStation is removing over 1,200 TV shows and movies from their catalog by the end of December. The question is why? Well, PlayStation's press release reads as followed. Dear PlayStation user, as of December 31st, 2023, due to our current licensing agreement with content providers, you will no longer be able to watch any of your previously purchased Discovery content. And the content will be removed from your video library. Click here for a full list of affected titles that will no longer be supported. We sincerely thank you for your continued support. Thank you, PlayStation Store. And before you ask, no, nobody is getting a refund here. Let's call this what it is, a rug pull. This is a service that used commonly understood words like purchase and sale to trick people into buying content that in reality they were only renting. That sounds like deceptive business practices to me at best, and it's theft at worst. What's most egregious of all is that due to the nature of the PlayStation and even Xbox platforms, Sony and Microsoft are the ultimate arbiters of what content you have access to. And for that reason alone, these consoles do not deserve your trust or your money. And speaking of Microsoft not deserving your money, so apparently Microsoft wants to bring Xbox Game Pass to PlayStation, to Switch, and every screen possible. And if they realize this dream, it could spell disaster for the video game industry at large. Now let's dive into this. What does it actually mean that they want to bring this to every screen possible? Well, speaking to the Wells Fargo TMT Summit on Wednesday, Xbox Chief Financial Officer Tim Stewart said, quote, "It's a bit of a change of strategy, not announcing anything broadly here, but our mission is to bring our first-party experiences and our subscription service to every screen that can play games. That means smart TVs, that means mobile devices, that means what we would have thought of as competitors in the past like PlayStation and Nintendo. We are the Microsoft. We wish to make money. We will add your technological distinctiveness to our own. Your consoles will adapt to service us." Now, this isn't some Chicken Little, the sky is falling nonsense. The thing is, I know that there are a lot of people out there who have bought into the marketing line and think that Xbox Game Pass is the best thing since sliced bread, but there's a reason why no other company has come out with a Game Pass-like service. It's because it's not a profitable venture. The only reason Microsoft is doing it is to get you addicted. And Xbox, if not the entire game industry, will inevitably collapse under the enormous girth and the absurdly hopeless money pit that is Game Pass. The fact is, Microsoft initially saw Game Pass as a loss leader, where they would sell you an Xbox along with a subscription, and it almost made financial sense. But now that they're abandoning that concept, and it seems the console hardware market in general, and given the expanding scope of Game Pass, well, honestly, Game Pass will lose its appeal if they don't continue adding games to the service, which means that Microsoft will have to continue acquiring studios with multi-billion-dollar price tags. And in my book, that doesn't seem sustainable. It would have disastrous consequences. If you want to see a video about why I think this is all a horrendous idea, leave me a comment below and I'll make a follow-up video explaining why. But for now, I'm gonna leave it there. I want to thank everyone who makes this show a reality. My friends on Patreon, my YouTube members, and you, of course. You make what I do here a reality. If you believe in the work that I'm doing and you're not already a member, you want to help the show grow, you can use the links down below to get started. It's all greatly appreciated. That's gonna do it for now. Thank you for watching. Make sure you get subscribed, and I'll see you next time.